Mm.
Is it an
Well,
Easter holiday for the kids this week, or is it next week?
it is Easter holiday on Friday, yes. So,
Do they
oh,
get the week off though?
I don't know. That's a good question. No, I don't think so because I saw the crossing guards yesterday in St. Catharines, so probably not. Okay, maybe they get Thursday off for a week or so because they only had a holiday last week, didn't they?
Yeah, well,
Spring break.
little bastards get all the breaks. I'm telling you.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah. So they think they're hard done by when they've got to go back to school for a week. I don't know. Weird, eh? All right.
I think
Okay.
so.
So here's a question for you, Dave. Have you seen the Iran Lego propaganda video?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen that.
Right. Look it up. Look it up. Iran. It's quite funny. It's
Iran
quite funny.
propaganda video. Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Well, this
Lego.
is
The Lego one you've got to watch. The Lego one,
the
right?
Lego one. Okay. Well,
There's
is
about
this
there's
kind of like
about
a
three or
counter?
four of them, and there's even a US comment. There's a US show presenter who actually presents a copy of this video as well amongst the discussion. It's,
So
it's
Iran is being like Trump. They're
oh
using social media to slur each other,
well,
right?
actually, and if you think about it, using Lego is kind of the way to build an image that kids are going to remember.
Uh-huh.
It's these little Lego men, and you know the way the Lego men have got these kind of claw, right?
Yeah.
One of them, the claw doesn't move, but in one of them, the claw moved.
So
So
this is Iranian propaganda, war
yeah,
propaganda. Okay, that's pretty good. We got a lot of the U.S. stuff. We got a lot of the Western stuff. We've seen some interesting stuff out of China when it comes to Trump too.
mm,
So this I'll look that up. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll look that up. We'll
Look
see.
it up; it's interesting, right? I'm just. They have really gone for an image. It's. I'm not saying viral, but it is. There's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube for this. Anyway, so and there's another one. There's another one where the uh, uh, Ayatollah digs a hole and drops so has a oil can, and he drops a rocket into it, and then he digs a hole and drops the oil can into the hole, right? And Trump comes and discover Trump and I'm presuming um,
Netanyahu, maybe.
yeah, I don't know, I don't recognize the other person, but it could be Netanyahu. Trump and somebody else dig it up, and then the rocket comes chasing them.
Well,
Quite funny, quite funny. Anyway, so all right, moving on. Yeah, so day 31 of this Middle Eastern conflict today.
yeah, there doesn't seem to be a way out. Obviously, they're brought on all these troops. I don't think it's just for leverage. I don't think it's just for scare tactics. I think they're going to try some sort of limited land operations. They want to. If it was me, like take all the morality out of it and all the ethics out of it, and just look at it as a problem. If I had that problem that Trump has, I would try to. The main thing to me would be the Straits of Hormuz, although it would be very difficult to capture Carg Island. Sounds good. I mean, this is something that's been on Trump's mind since since the 1980s. Apparently, he sees he got Carg Island into his head because he knows that that's 90% of the oil coming out of Iran. However, you're working with a different outfit here. You think you're going to strangle Iran by taking Carg Island. What Iran will do is start bombing the crap out of every other oil facility in and around the area and
Yeah,
drive prices way up. It may even destroy its own army, own island. Remember, this is a religious regime.
yeah,
They are used to suffering. They have been suffering for a very long time. They've been fighting for a very long time. They've been fighting since, they started fighting with Iraq. That was an 8-year war where they lost 1 million people. They've been struggling ever since because their number one enemy is the rest of the people around them, because they're a Shia Muslim group that's of Iranian ethnicity, whereas everyone else is an Arab Sunni, basically. That's simplified, except on their eastern side. So they have a capacity for pain, much more capacity for pain than we do here in the West. And that's one of the reasons why Trump chickened out with his tariffs against China, because China says we're going to go right to the wall. If you throw those on us, we're just going to fight it out and see who's left standing. Trump couldn't do that, of course, because the consumerism in the United States wouldn't go for it. People want their $12 for their daughters at Christmas time, and if they don't get them, he's going to lose his office. So how much pain can you endure? The United States is good for a quick war, but once it starts bogging down, they're no good anymore. Yeah, they don't have the endurance for a long war.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. The troops they have there are specialized troops, specialized for certain areas. If it was me and I was stuck in a situation, I couldn't go any further, I couldn't negotiate my way out, I would take the Straits of Hormuz. I would work on that part of it alone. Once you control the Straits of Hormuz, you control the oil flow, and that gives you enormous amounts of power. And Trump's already talked about taking Iranian oil. He's also talking about having the other Arab states pay him for the war.
And the other thing is that Rubio has basically said the Straits of Hormuz will open one way or another. Right?
Yeah, well, that's a tall promise. Now, the thing that the United States and Israel have is this extraordinary, amazing intelligence gathering and utilizing their intelligence amazingly. I mean, they're killing everybody that sticks their head out of the hole. They're blowing up police stations, for crying out loud. They're killing all the top leaders, all the secondary leaders, as many as the tertiary and fourth and fifth level leaders as they can. I mean, they're going after small police stations and stuff in Tehran. Yeah. They're getting rid of police captains and things of that kind. So they're hoping that there is no leadership at all that can help them out here. They have decapitated every major leader in
Iran, I'm presuming you're saying. Let's see if we can get you back. Looks like
am I back?
Oh, yeah, you are. We get this glitch about 7, and if we can get through that, we're usually okay.
Yeah, so we'll see the oil rising still. We're looking at in a short order $2 a barrel or $2 a liter for gas up here. It's going to raise pretty bad in the U.S. too. This has to be concluded rather fast. You see, the stock market has no faith in Trump's declarations anymore. He obviously, somebody made a lot of money, and when he said that they're talking to people, or when he backed out of blasting Iran to Kingdom Come, minutes before that, a lot of people invested, and then he made the announcement. A lot of people made a lot of money. It was very, very. It stinks really bad, and I think if you wander back, you're going to find a lot of the Trump family and people made a lot of money on that particular case. But aside from that, Wall Street no longer trusts the statements from Trump, and they want to. They want to. Every time he says, "Okay, we're going to not have a war," the stock market goes up, but then he has his war, and then it goes back down again.
All right. Okay, so just a little one. So I saw the picture, Gary. Thank you.
Well, that's true, except he's got to adjust it. I would have already been behind Paul, giving him the eye gouge. You know, like I'm that fast.
No, this is the promo video. This is the promo video, right?
Hey, that's pretty good. Like, how did you do that, Gary? Wow.
This has got to be AI, right? It's got to be AI.
Nice one.
Right. The other one is it was done in front of a 4680Q, but it's actually I like it. It's real good. Thank you, Gary, for it. This is superb. All right.
I was with Paul yesterday. We were discussing City Hall agenda.
Yeah.
And Paul looks pretty good. He looks like he's lost some weight. Yeah, no, I'm serious.
Yeah.
That's good for me. Like now I'm bigger than him, so if we do have a wrestling match, I'll just sit on him.
Okay. Well, I think I needed to be sat on last night because I was all aches and pains. I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning, aching everywhere.
Oh.
When I went to bed, I didn't have a single ache or pain in my body. Anyway, that's another question. So there's another version.
Well, yeah. Did you have an argument before you went to bed last night?
No.
Nope. Did your wife have a baseball bat beside her when you woke up?
Nope. None of the above. Anyway, so with this picture, right, you notice in the background there's a Trump thing that says you're fired, right? There's also another alternative version of this picture where it says 4680Q on there. Right? Yeah, very good. Absolutely superb. I love what AI can do with this kind of stuff, right?
Yes. Anyway, so that's yeah, so I haven't been able to, I haven't dabbled in that or even attempted to do something like that. But now we can see why Trump got into it there for a while, where he had that King Trump jet when the first No Kings rally, and he had the jet fly over everybody and dump effluent or whatever it was, or sewage on the people there.
Yeah. All right. Right. So I wanted to put you in a green shirt. Yeah, but I think the red shirt looks better. You know, you needed to have put Paul in a blue shirt and Dave in a red shirt. You being in a green one, Gary, was the right color. But you know, it's a good picture. I love it.
I think. I think I should have put on the shirt that Gary is so jealous of that I wear all the time. You know, the one with the parrots on it. That would have been good.
All right. Okay. All right. Middle East war. Anything else?
I would say that's it. Like this has to stop pretty soon. I mentioned yesterday, and this is, you don't find it too much in Western press, but there is people suffering all over the world because of this already. We find that, like I mentioned, the fact that the fertilizers aren't getting out there, and if they don't get into Africa very soon, they're going to have very reduced yields in their agriculture. You reduced yields here just means the prices go up. Things are still available, but reduced yields in places in Africa means people don't eat.
Yeah.
Or they eat much less. So you're asking for a lot of suffering going on. The stuff, of course, the oil and gas and everything that people need for their tractors.
And we've largely avoided starvation in Africa because of the fact that we've had these fertilizers that have led to better crops.
Better yields, yeah. And also the amount of oil and gas, like, I mean, African farmers need a tractor if they've got one too. And they have small trucks and everything else that needs oil and fuel as well. You're pushing the price up very, very high for these people. The poor suffer the most. We here suffer because our short-term pain, we see it at the gas station at $1.70 a liter right now. That's our short-term pain. Thank you very much.
It was weird actually. So the Friday night when I filled up with gas, it was 159.9. When I went in past the gas station yesterday morning, it was 174.9, and when I came back out, so it had gone up 20 odd cents, 25 cents almost. And when I came out from St. Catharines last night, it was 164.9, so it come down 10 cents during the course of the day.
Well, my point here is you can still get gas.
Yeah.
And it's gonna you're gonna maybe adjust your budget somewhat, but it's not going to stop you from eating. It's not going to stop you from surviving. It's going to be an inconvenience. It's going to push you probably put off the new TV you were going to buy or something. So the economy will slow down here. But in other places in the world, this means life or death.
Yeah.
You know, the extreme price of fuel means that pumps or sanitation factory plants or many other things do not get run. Like that's so you don't get your tractor out there. You can't get your goods to market. All these things. So the poor people, when we are here, we're inconvenienced. We get the short-term pain. Trump's short-term pain that's lasting a lot more longer than short. At the pumps, this is the price we have to pay to crush Iran. But the price that the poor people around the world is life or death sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That means less food for their children, less clean water for their children, all these things. We don't think of them because we are in the advanced societies of the world. Well, the developing countries of the world coming up, they're going to need all of these things. They're going to need the fertilizer, the fuel, everything. They'll have a hard enough time as it is. So you put that kind of economic pressure on them, and people starve. People don't get medicine. People don't go to a hospital because the hospital has no generator to keep it going.
Yeah.
And I can't emphasize this over and over and over again. We think this is just a minor inconvenience, a little glitch along the way. If you listen to Fox News, it's a small sacrifice the American people have to make. But it's not the American people; it's worldwide.
Yeah,
it's worldwide.
Yeah,
and most of the world has not got the economic wherewithal that the West does, and the rest of the world will suffer badly for this.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So coming back local with a big thud. There was a train derailment in St. Catharines yesterday. Now that currently the train bridge across the canal is inoperable right now. So
I worked on that train.
To clear up.
I put that article there because I worked on that train bridge years ago. I was the foreman on that job. I was supposed to be the foreman, the only foreman on the job. But what happened is the job went south really bad. The contractor that I was working for, I was always in conflict with them because they had a small crew and a small amount of gear, and it was supposed to be a month or two of work that a small crew could do. The estimates, the scope, the people who estimated on the job just got it wrong, completely wrong. And we ended up having to go to 2 shifts. I was the afternoon foreman, and the boss of the whole job, the contractor himself, was the boss of the first shift during the day. And we had 2 crews, double the size of the original crew that he gave me. And it took a long time to get them to wise up about how badly they had estimated the job. And it was a huge job, and it finally broke. I put it there because at first when I read it, I thought, something malfunctioned with the bridge. It wasn't that at all. It's the train cars.
What's going to happen here is we've got a 13-car derailment on the St. Catharines side of the bridge. The bridge is now currently inoperable, so it's going to be facing massive repairs. It's going to take them days to clear this up. The Lakeshore West service coming to Niagara Falls is clearly not going to get beyond St. Catharines right now, if they're going to take it that far. So there's yet to be an announcement upon that. And the question now is they've got lots of stuff to clear up with these rail tracks.
Yeah, I wonder what caused the derailment itself. And now Gary's listening, and he was witness to a train pin just breaking right there close to him, and an almost an impossible thing to happen. So I'm wondering about the state of our rail cars. If something
Yeah.
like that happened, and we got a derailment, that's a major, man. Like, I mean,
Derailment is normally something wrong with the rails, or somebody, you know, some kind of instability on the rails.
I would really like to know the investigation here, because trains go back and forth across that bridge constantly and forever. There are cargo trains, and there are passenger trains, the GO service, and so on. That's another thing they'll have to change now too, is the GO service. So they'll have to bus you into a better into St. Catharines, I would think. But the whole idea here is that there was a train derailment, and to have a train derailment on a track that is continually maintained, you got to wonder what was the source of that. Was it a bad car? Did the brakes lock up? Even then, it would be dragged.
Looking at the pictures,
what about the track? Like these tracks are continually maintained and inspected.
Yeah,
I would be very, very interested to see. Normally, I'm thinking human error. Maybe the guy was going too fast around a curve or something like that. But I really like
a straight section of rail. This is straight section from what I know about this. So this is and the way these cars have concertinaed is very disturbing.
Is there any evidence of foul play here?
No, I've not mentioned anything like that.
All right, so
yeah,
and we're very lucky here too. The train derailed, and there's nothing in there that's dangerous.
Okay. I can tell you about the GO station. GO rail services are suspended between Confederation GO in Stony Creek and Niagara Falls GO due to this, and they will be running bus services instead.
They're gonna have to get some heavy equipment in there to right those cars and get them moved on. One car opened up, and there is some spillage. It's polyethylene of some sort, so it's not an immediate danger, carcinogen, or anything like. But my situation here, if there was a flame, if there was some flame, that polyethylene would probably go up. So I'm not so sure. They said it was not a danger. Maybe now there is, but it could have been.
Yesterday's rain probably has caused a bit of washed a lot of this into the ground, doesn't it?
That's too bad. But anyway, so they're going to have to mop it up. But my point here is that it could have been very volatile stuff. It could have been like Lake Megantic. It could have been crude oil that would just burst. Something like that. Refined fuels. I mean, we got oil products coming right out of here of Lubrizol, right? Some of that stuff could have been on the track at the time, and you got to. I think it's very, very important that they get to the bottom of this, because train derailments can be extraordinarily dangerous, particularly if that train derailment happened to happen in a residential area.
Well, it's not. This is not a residential area, from what I can tell. It looks like
it would be a problem if it was.
Yeah. This is a commercial area. From the pictures that I see, it looks commercial. In fact, there's a building there.
Rail line. I'm familiar with the area, right? And there are a few buildings close to it. I think there's one of the Seaway offices are close there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm looking in one of the pictures. Looks to be the Seaway office.
Yeah,
right.
There's a nice hill. There's a nice hill there where you could go with you could take your kids going down toboggan that hill there. And anyway, I'm off topic, but so yeah, it's basically I'd be interested to get to the bottom of this, because if that had happened in a residential area, and that could have been potentially very dangerous.
Yeah. So currently, there's no injuries, there's no fires or danger to the public being reported, right? Which is a good thing. So, although one of these cars, the picture of one of these cars looks as if it is it looks almost as if it was on fire, but it doesn't look, when you on closer inspection, doesn't look burnt. It just looked as if it probably has had some exterior fires in the past on it, where vandals causing fires and things like that.
Well, that bridge is 100 years old, so they got to get that open. They got to be able to function with that too, because they need the ships to go through.
Well, they got
to get it up so the ships can go through.
Yeah, they got basically 15 days because the ships are opening on I believe on April the 14th this year.
I see some boys getting some overtime, don't you? Getting up that track.
Yeah, they got to get that moving again. It's going to be high priority getting that done. All right. Anything else on that?
Not really. No.
All right.
Except for my disclaimer, the work that I did on that bridge has nothing to do with this accident.
Okay, so we got some comments. I heard the derailment and thunder skies around about 4 a.m. Thunder skies around about 4 a.m.
Thunder skies.
Okay, I thought it was later than that. Okay. Somebody said hauling oil. He thinks they were, right? My kids saw the video of him being an engineer, and says he thinks it looks like the ground might have been extremely soft. That doesn't surprise me, Gary, because in fact, when you think about how wet this winter has been, insofar as the amount of snow we've had, and that would be consistent with the whole tippage of the cars just going sideways.
Well, you see the conditions of our road, because we've had deep freeze and then warmth back and forth like that. I don't think I've seen our roads this bad for a long time, and I would say I would take it to the weather too. That's a good point, Gary, because the water, then the freezing, then the water, then the freezing. We had cold and mild temperatures, which produced a lot of water. Then we had deep freezes, very harsh freezes, then mild spells, then another freeze. Yeah, that could have had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. All right, and I think that's a very, very important thing you just said there, Gary, because that very definitely has the type of thing that could be the cause of this, right? All right, but we're going to have to, we're not going to know the cause for weeks, realistically.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of speculation over the next few weeks, and we won't really know the cause of that for weeks, actually even months.
Well, I'll put it out there right now. So I think Trump did it. I think he's responsible.
So here we go then. Wrestling match number 4.
Hey, that's good. Got my good side too.
There you go. All right. Okay. So it is what it is, and I do wish them well, because I know, as you said, there's going to be a lot of overtime going to get that done.
Right. Yeah, I hope so. I hope the lads make some money. Yeah, and I hope they fix it up nice, but they got to get the engineers in there and figure out what's wrong, so we don't have a derailment farther down the line.
But we know now that he did some work on the bridge, so it's his fault. all because of him, all doing that work years and years and years and years and years and years ago. What was that? 3 AD when you did that work?
It was the year 2000, I think it was. We did the work on that, and God, it was a pig of a job, man. That was like it's 100 years old now, that bridge, but then it was like about 80 years old. It had the realest, oldest of technology. I mean, it was leading edge for its day, but technology had made so many moves from 1919 when the bridge was designed.
Yeah.
It ended up being finished, completed totally in 1929. But it has some very old technology in it. Very brilliant stuff, though. Like, I mean, excellent. Like, it was a bascule bridge that moved up like this. It was just a sensational piece of engineering. But God, it was old stuff, and it was all frozen in place and greased like thick.
But it wasn't. But for the record, as I understand it, it was not the bridge that caused the problem.
No, it wasn't. But when I first read it, I thought, oh, that bridge, something happened with that bridge. And if something happened with that bridge, I better hide because somebody's going to look for me. Trump was pointing at Dave, LOL. You're fired.
But here's the thing: given that she's got green, is Betty the green monster?
I wouldn't call a lady a monster. You're in trouble, then. Where is your sense of decorum? Where is your sense of chivalry, my man? Have a little more respect for the fair sex, my friend.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, good job. We can have a joke amongst friends, eh?
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, the Niagara Falls Sunshine List. Right.
Oh, here we go.
Been drawing comments this weekend. Jason Burgess, $311,914.93. In my view, he's still expensive at half the wages.
I don't get it, man. Like,
how much has this gone up?
I don't know. It's like he is getting compensation more than the CAO of a much bigger city like Hamilton. That was pointed out the other day. And when they posted that, I on the Facebook, I said, well, what were the compensations of, or what were how does that compare to other CAOs? He's being compensated extremely well for the size of our city.
Yeah.
And we find that others have got a raise as well. He went from 295 or something. Anyway,
the average salary for 254 people is 127,477 for 2025, right? And this is the number of people went up by 13.4%. And the pay went up by 15.4% last year.
I don't know. The guys in the field, they're struggling for getting their small increases along the way. But these are what it looks like compensation for the brass at City Hall. There, they seem to be doing pretty good in rather big pay increases. Now, I suppose this has to be explained. I would say that the compensation for these people should be in line with the compensation of others. But when you're looking at the price of the city and the kind of taxes you're paying, but remember, $100,000 is nothing anymore. $100,000, you're not. It's not a particularly high wage anymore.
I know.
When the Sunshine List came out back in the 80s or whatever it did, $100,000 was a lot. I was on the Sunshine List once. I was on the Sunshine List.
Probably when the Sunshine List first came out, it was probably, if you were to equate the wage of 100,000 back in the 90s when that was first came out, and everybody thought it was a good idea to bring it out. Now, realistically, that Sunshine List would be at around about 250, wouldn't it, if it was created in the modern day?
I think it would be around double. I don't know, like what $100,000 today. I don't know. There's ways of doing it. I'll ask my phone right here. Yeah. Let's get the AI mode going. I'll say. Well,
when was the Sunshine List created?
In 1988. $100,000 is worth what now? Okay, so $100,000 in 1988. was would now be 2.7 times, or almost 2.8 times as much. So $276,000.
Yeah, there you go.
When you're looking at yeah, so that's what it's worth today.
Yeah.
So the about 2.8 from 1988.
Yeah. So in fact, the Sunshine List realistically should be those that are above 280,000 today. Yeah. So Burgess would be on that Sunshine List. Because
when did the Sunshine List happen or start? That was from the oh, didn't get. When did the Sunshine List begin in Ontario? Oh, 1996.
Yeah.
But that's the public disclosure list. I think, and then it was the, I think it was the Sun newspaper that published it all the time.
Mm.
They were the one that published it.
Mm-hmm. Well, at the moment, Jason Burgess is on 311,914, as I said. Dale Morton, who's the Director of Communications and Senior Advisor to Special Projects, is on $225,000. Tiffany Clark, our Director of Finance, is on $205,000. And Eric Nickel, who's the General Manager of Municipal Works, is on $200,000. General Manager of Municipal Works normally was only, back in the day, that kind of guy would be paid 20 or 30% more than the average municipal works worker, wouldn't he?
I don't know. I don't know. Dale Morton is a bit of I think Dale Morton is a bit of an anomaly here because she was paid out. She's paid out vacation and all other stuff. I think she retired, did she not? Was it Dale Morton that retired?
You're probably right, because that one's an oddity. That's definitely an oddity. And I think she was paid out.
Yeah, because she was $140,000, $141,000, and was the 42nd highest paid in the municipality. And then all of a sudden it goes up. Yeah. So anyways, according to Burgess, I believe she was under previous contract rules where her vacation and other items got paid out. So it is kind of a lump sum payment retirement for a number of items. Yeah, that happens. Sometimes you're bought out of your job too. And that's not always public knowledge. Like, you don't need you anymore, so we're going to have to buy you out.
Yeah.
And so that, but she looks like she was there for 30 something years. So that's not likely to happen to her. But she may have been bought out. Maybe they just thought it's time for you to retire, Dale. And Dale says, I don't want to retire. There's no restriction on how long I can work. And they say, well, guess what? We'll give you a package and say goodbye to you. That could have happened. It's not the other stuff which Burgess is talking about there. Maybe more than just vacation payout.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
One hell of a vacation.
Any other points?
It's a $75,000 60. What was it like? Yeah, $75,000 vacation payout.
Yeah,
$80,000 vacation. That's a lot.
That probably means she hasn't been away on vacation for years.
Well, he says old rules and things like that. I would, it was kind of a vague thing that he said. I think this or I think that. I'm wondering if she got a payout. She was asked to leave her post, and for that you get X amount of money.
Yeah,
and they do that all the time. They do that. My ex, they did that with her. Right here, we want you gone. Here's some money. Go away.
Yeah. And you just got to make sure that money is good enough to survive for the next few. Well,
they usually hit you around. When there's duplication of services or something like that, or I don't know, they're changing whatever, but I don't know. Well, it depends. We'll see if Dale is replaced and what her replacement is being paid.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else really on that to cover point wise?
Nope.
I'm noting, it seemingly going, this is heading up. I'm looking at the statistics, and you said it started in '96, and there was a slow rise in the '90s between '90 and '90 and 2007. There was a slow rise in the numbers of people that were on the Sunshine List, and since then it peaked at about 50 in 2008, and has been on the rapid increase. So the number of people in Niagara Falls on the Sunshine List peaked at about 50 in 2008, has been going up and up ever since.
Yeah, because it's still pegged at $100,000.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dumb to have the same the Sunshine List pegged at $100,000 when that is not really that great of a threshold anymore.
No, and in fact, if you were to peg it at about 230, you'd be more realistic. You'd be back to about 50 people on the Sunshine List.
Yeah, even if you made it $200,000, okay, that's the threshold. But anyway, what else we got? I think we flagged that one up.
No, okay, so that's fine. I was just looking at the final statistics on that. Michael Marr's.
Who's Michael Marr?
He's the industry committee. He's right. So he's the Minister of Industry, isn't he? He's confronting. Basically, he's saying that there's the US. He's expecting US retaliation for because the US is probing current imports from China, Canadian imports from China.
So Liberal MPs, that would be the Michael Ma, Chinese forced labor comments come as U.S. probes Canada's imports. Well, what's happening here is the U.S. is looking for advantages over us. And it says a Liberal MP, Michael Ma, apology for confronting an academic witness about whether her evidence on forced labor in the Chinese aluminum supply chains could be hearsay, coincides with a highly sensitive moment in Canada's ongoing trade war with the Trump administration. All right. So what's happening now is it's a really very hypocritical, because the U.S. is trying to put more strain on us because they say that we're now trading with China, and China has forced labor, and there's a certain amount of the element of aluminum in the Chinese cars, particularly, or other Chinese products that would come from forced labor in certain provinces in China. I don't think that could be disputed, but the fact of the matter is the U.S. does the same thing and uses the same, have products that come from the same place. And look here, do you own a phone? I own a phone. Does President Trump own a phone? The United States, Apple, the biggest industry like Apple Corporation comes from the States. Every one of these phones has cobalt in it. Where does that cobalt come from? That cobalt comes from slave labor in the Congo, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, right? And it is done with slave labor in gruesome ways, but that cobalt is essential to phones. And everybody turns their back on the slave labor that happens there, the forced labor of children. As a matter of fact, the M23 rebels from Rwanda hold a lot of the cobalt. And in order to get Europe to get the cobalt that they need, they have to go through Rwanda, which is the force by
Dave? He's pausing again.
Which
Dave?
Can you see me? There we go.
There we go.
I'm here.
That's okay. So you were
I'm
talking
back.
about
Here is
Rwanda. Yeah.
yes. Well, I took that tangent for a reason. They're saying that a certain amount of aluminum in the products we are buying from China has elements of forced labor in it, and the United States, Trump says we won't. There's things we won't trade with Canada because they do that, because Canada is importing stuff with elements of slave labor or forced labor in it. That's extremely hypocritical because they trade with China all the time and they bring in products all the time. And if you were to probe any number of products that come from China, you might find elements of forced labor in it.
Yeah.
So that's just a hypocritical reason. That would give them a reason to restrict goods coming from Canada.
Yeah. Chinese have not exactly been, been forthright on their human rights breaches, and the deal. But what's forgotten in this deal that was done by Carney was done for a very specific. It's a very limited deal. It wasn't a general opening of markets between Canada and China. It was done for very specific products, the 40,000 cars for some grain.
Yeah, so basically what they're doing, what Trump is getting, and he doesn't like to be outmaneuvered, and in this particular case, Carney outmaneuvered him, and I don't think if he should have known what's happening, because he's making it more and more difficult to trade with the United States. So he's going to know just about everybody that does trade with the United States are going to try to find other markets, because we're going to be limited on the amount of things we sell there because of the tariffs.
Yeah.
So Trump was trying to find different ways to put pain on Canada, particularly before the CUSMA, the USMCA down there is NAFTA, and any other word, right, is renegotiated.
Yeah.
And it's more threats, basically. Ha, you've got Chinese cars and they got aluminum in it, and some of that aluminum is done by forced labor in such and such a province.
And part of the problem here is, whilst that is a bad thing, and we can all agree it's a bad thing, it's like, well, I'm not so sure it's as bad as some of the things that Trump is doing right now.
He's doing much worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And trading, he's trading in rare earth metals. He needs rare earth magnets. He needs rare earth magnets that come almost exclusively from China.
Yeah.
Would you think there would be any forced labor involved in that? The extraction and refinement
coming from China. Almost anything that's coming from China, Chinese, we only got to look at what they've done to the Uyghurs. The Chinese human rights record is appalling. Almost anything that comes from China, you can't rely upon being made by free labor. Labor that is free to make a choice as to whether to work or not. Right? We can't rely upon any of that. But again, as you say, we buy our cell phones from China every single day.
Yes. And as I said before, if you're worried about forced labor, why did you buy a phone?
Yeah.
If you are, I'm concerned about forced labor, but I'm going to buy the phone. I know the cobalt in this phone came from pain of a child who digging it up in Africa. What am I going to do? That's where they get the cobalt, right? I don't like the fact that the cobalt in this phone was a result of forced labor in the Belgian Congo, or not the Belgian Congo, sorry. That's an old term, but in the Congo. And I don't like the fact that M23 may have taken that cobalt and sold it and made a whole lot of money where they're not providing much for the children they're forced to labor in the cobalt mine.
But another question on these devices, right, is that how many of them are available that you could recycle the cobalt from them to build new devices now?
The problem is you need new phones all the time. So that's the kind of hypocrisy I'm talking about here. So
Yeah.
when everybody knows that it's a game that Trump is playing, let's probe the goods that go into Canada if they have forced labor in them. Well, we might have to put another tariff on it to Canada to punish them for that, et cetera, et cetera. We might have to limit the amount of stuff that we get from Canada because they trade with China that use forced labor. Now, if we did the reverse, what would happen? Nothing. If we said we can't import anything from the United States because they import stuff from China that has forced labor elements in it, where's that going to get us? It's not going to get us anywhere because we're going to need whatever they have. But Trump doesn't necessarily need the stuff we have, so he'll put something on it. And slavery was in the beginning as it is to the end. Yes, there's an elements of slavery everywhere. Like that's another subject altogether. But forced labor is the closest thing you can have to slavery. If we went around and looked at all the forced labor in the world and the products we have, we might not buy anything. I know the bananas, for instance, if they come from Costa Rica, no Costa Rican has much to do with the bananas at all. The bananas are harvested by Nicaraguans at about a fifth of the price that they could get a Costa Rican to do it with, and they work and they get very little money. And is that forced labor? It's exploited labor. Would you buy another banana?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What about farm products that come from anywhere in the world?
Yeah.
Usually the farm laborers don't make much money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair question to be asking, actually, Dave. All right.
I mean, it sounds good on our part for our MPs to point that out. Is there forced labor in this product? Are we bringing in products that have elements of forced labor in them? But if we did that too exclusively, then we wouldn't bring anything in. And I was warned this when I was a union delegate. I was asking questions about child labor in some of the stocks. So of course, if you're in a union, your benefits and your pensions are all tied up in stocks and of course in investments, right? That generates the money that is used to pay out guys for the benefits and the pensions and so on. But what I found out is when I was asking about any stocks that we might hold that had child labor involved in them and anywhere in the world, I was told, look, yeah, that sounds bad on the way, but if you take away the child labor, that's money that family does not have. So if you scrutinize your stocks and insist that no child labor happens there, then that family loses money. What you have to do is insist that the child labor gets medical treatment and gets an education as well. We know that if you take the child out of the labor market in developing countries, you might starve that family because that family needs that wage. And when I look at it, that's the truth. So there are more aspects to this all the way along. We really don't know what's happening in China too much. It's hard to figure out.
There was a documentary on I think it was Bangladesh, about exactly that. Child labor in Bangladesh, and basically what was happening is they were figuring out, there was a charity organization that was looking at this and saying we need to do something about the child labor situation in Bangladesh. And what they were looking at was the fact that, well, these children are bringing in massive amounts of money in comparison to their family, but what they're doing is not being educated. So what they went into was an arrangement about how can we educate these children, but recognize the fact that their families need their income.
Yes, and basically, if you go back to Britain in the Industrial Revolution, who was working in those factories, who
Yeah.
was working
Oh,
in
yeah.
those mines. They were kids, weren't they?
Yeah. They were kids. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. They were.
We have developed to the point where we do not exploit our children. It's labor. But uh, back in the Industrial Revolution, that child that went to work was an essential part of that family
Yeah.
income. And that's the
Yeah.
same that's happening here today. What we have to do is protect the child worker, not take the job away from them, which their family needs, but to protect their right to have at least an education and a healthy environment.
Yeah, that's exactly what this charity had concluded, that the best way forward, the best way to ensure that education happened was to figure out a timetable by which the kids went to work, and then the kids could come from work to the school, or if you brought the school to where the workplace was, so if the schools were close to the workplace, then what would happen is a kid would go to work, come to school, and then go home. And sometimes the kids would go to work, go to school, go to work, go to school, go to work, go to school, and then go home.
Yeah, school would probably be a holiday for them. They get to hang out with other kids, right?
Yeah,
what I mean?
What schooling was, is it brought them an ability to, like, they work for an hour, take an hour break, go to school, work for an hour, go back to school, that type of thing.
Yeah, so those are those are the blunt realities of when you dig down on something like that. So it'd be pretty interesting. And another problem with this determining whether or not some of the aluminum in Chinese cars or other products comes from areas where there's forced labor. It's very, very hard to determine that. Apparently, the aluminum cannot be refined in these provinces where they suspect forced labor is. It cannot be refined too well. So all they do is melt it down to rough ingots. Then that is taken and added to other metals along the way, other ingredients and other aluminum coming from other places, melted down and refined. So when you're trying to determine exactly how much aluminum can be traced to the forced labor of certain province in China, and whether or not that particular ingot was a result of forced labor in that province, that's a very hard thing to trace. Now, it's very nice of our MPs to start thumping their chest and saying idealistically, yes, where is the forced labor? They have to find it. Find the forced labor. Where is it? Prove it so that we can do something about it. But these vagaries where you just stand up and you just say, I'm against forced labor in anything we trade with China. And as a Saskatchewan says, hey, we've got like all this canola oil and all this canola seed that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And you complain about that, and they'll stop that flow of our canola oil going over there. That's our jobs and everything. You see how complicated it gets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely how complicated it is. All right. So just to finish on the final topic of the day, Palestinians convicted of deadly attacks face death penalty under new Israeli laws.
This is BS. Technically speaking, an Israeli could find themselves under the death penalty too, but we find in the West Bank there's murders and assaults all the time by settlers and even soldiers on the average person. Sometimes it's even on camera and on video, and nothing really ever happens to that person. They may get arrested for the sake of the Western press, and then slowly just kind of dismissed and pushed back into society. There is no thing. But what they're saying is, for instance, if a Palestinian were to throw a rock and it hits a guy in the head and he may die of it, then he can be hanged. And the corporal punish or the capital punishment here is hanging. Yeah. Now they've got a jail full of Palestinians, and they could go right through there and they could say, and this is a military court too. It's not a civilian court. It's a military court. So it's a closed system. If that military court says that you were involved in something that caused the death of something somewhere along the line, we can hang you.
Yeah.
This is a very, very terrible development. the Israel is going back to brutal times. They are not more and more and more. They have that isolated Israeli society for ethno-religious Jews that is just fine. It's a nice little democracy. But if you happen to be a Palestinian in the West Bank or Palestinian in Gaza, you could be hanged at the snap of a finger because this military court found you guilty, or because you threw stones one day, or whatever, and you are not. There is not going to be any fairness because the settlers who came and pulled down your olive trees and killed your wife, they're going to get off scot-free.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing going to ever happen to them, and that's happening all the time now in the West Bank. So we find that this is the apartheid system is getting harsher and harsher. You get guys like Ben-Gvir and Smotrich pushing the agenda, and Netanyahu has to go along with it. I think he wants to go along with it, but even if he didn't want to, he has to because he has to stay in power. These people are terrible. They got to get rid of them. Look, Netanyahu started this war and dragged the United States into it. I mean, he found the dummy, big dummy Trump. He's the only president that ever.
This is the first time in history that one nation has started a war on a third nation using a second nation's army.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
We had to join the Rubio. We had to join the fight because they were gonna bomb them, so we better bomb them too. Because if Israel bombed them, then Iran was going to bomb us. That doesn't really sound right, does it?
Nope.
Why would Iran want to bring the United States into
Not
it?
in the least.
They would bomb Israel back again, but that's a big lie. The whole thing's a lie. It is very much like the Iraq war thing. The same lies are just reconstituted. And big dummy Trump fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And now he's gonna.
And I call upon the Western press to get back to reality next week. Let's publish more on the Epstein files.
Yeah.
I want the Epstein files, episode number 3.
There's all kinds of stuff I'm kind of sick of the Epstein files myself. I wish they would just go ahead and release them. Pam Bondi, of course, is resisting all the way. Notice that all the Republicans were just, release those files during Biden's. As soon as they get control of the files to release them, hey, I don't like what looks silly there. I
just like the press under the Epstein files, Dave.
Yeah.
because but anyway, we've got a year that's been completely nuts already. We're only 3 months into it. This is the last day of the third month of the year, so we're into 3 months of absolutely nutty political stuff on the world, right? Okay, we better get going anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll put this out there. I think the Republicans are going to get rid of Trump, and it won't be long. I think probably by the end of the year they'll have him out. They'll find some excuse. He's got I don't know, some kind of illness. His heart's no good or something. They'll find some reason to sideline him because right now he's becoming an embarrassment, and they might lose both houses in the midterms, and he's not acting any more rationally than he has before. I think the Republicans are seeing. I mean, they're sticking with him right now because he's a vote getter, but as soon as that starts to change, they're going to get rid of him.
Yeah,
he will find no loyalty at all when it comes right down to it. Anyway, like I do every day, I'll bring up Gaza. Do not forget Gaza. That's a nightmare. It continues. I mentioned the West Bank, and now they're going to start hanging people. Right? They made a big excuse. They made a law, such a law. There's no law. That's a Jim Crow type law. Basically, you hang. We can lynch you, but you can't lynch us. Kind of a law.
Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, I bid you adieu. Pray for peace.